Hello, I'm Audrey Parker and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing a little reading wrap up of both my July and August reads because on my TikTok I forgot to do my July reading wrap up, so I'm just going to include the past 2 months. I read 10 books in total, 5 books both months, so I'm very excited about that number. And I did happen to go through weeks-long book slump during this time frame, so I'm very surprised at how many books I read during that time, because man, it was brutal there for a little bit with a reading slump. It was almost like a month. First off, in July I read Happy Place. I sadly did not enjoy that book as much as I felt like I was supposed to. I had such high hopes for that book. It just did not meet my expectations, and at that time frame I was also somewhat on the verge of a reading slump, so I just kind of was going through the motions for that book. I don't know what was wrong, but it just did not meet my expectations. I really had high hopes for it because it was an Emily Henry book. Just did not hit like I thought it was gonna be. So I feel like it would be good if it just was at a different time that I read it. Sometimes personal stuff going on in someone's life can derail how you feel about a book, and I feel like that was possibly the reason why Happy Place just did not hit for me at that time frame. Next was The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. I listened to it on audiobook while I was out tanning, and I didn't read this series at all when I was younger. I watched the movies and I love everything about those movies, and I go back and watch them every once in a while, and it hits every single time. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe I was happily surprised with. Going into it, I was aware that it was a children's book, but while listening to it, it really solidified the fact that it was for kids, because it was very basic words and it just flowed really easily. I do have the entire collection, so I'm going to be trying to get through that at some point, but that was my little first step into the Chronicles of Narnia. Next, I read Wild Love. I love that book so much. I love when there's a child included in the story because they just say the wildest things and they just bring so much humor into the storyline, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. So I enjoyed Wild Love so much. Elsie Silver just knows how to write small town country romances, and they hit every time. Wild Love was absolutely amazing. Next, I read Brutal Prince. It was an okay book. I did enjoy my time reading it. It was good. I don't think about that book all that often. I did enjoy my time reading it though, so I'll probably continue the series, but I'm not in a rush. It was my first Sophie Lark book. I was dabbling into her books and writing styles. I was not expecting the drawings in the books, so that was a little bit of a shocker, and personally I was not a huge fan of the style of the artwork in the books, but art is subjective, so it might not have been for me, but other people probably enjoyed it, so I'll give it that. The watercolor on the cover is absolutely beautiful. Last in July, I read The Housemaid, and that was when I was in my deep-rooted slump. I was so far in my slump at that point. It was so bad. During this time frame, I started Wild Eyes, and I just knew I was in a reading slump. I was not in the mood to read. I didn't want to destroy my thoughts on Wild Eyes, so I was talking to my boyfriend's aunt about possibly trying a different genre, so I asked her if I could borrow The Housemaid, and oh my god, that was an absolutely good book to read during that time frame. If I'm in a reading slump, I will probably go back to continuing that series because The Housemaid was absolutely phenomenal. I will recommend that to everybody who wants to try out a different genre other than romance and fantasy, because that was absolutely phenomenal. I want to explore more Frida McFadden books, so if I'm in a reading slump or if I'm just in the mood for something different, I will probably go for a Frida McFadden book because that was absolutely amazing. Those were my 5 books that I read in July. I had a good reading month. I had some good, some bad. That's just what you get. Next was August. So I was moving back up to college in this month, so during that time frame I was spending a lot of time in the beginning of the months with my friends, my boyfriend, with his family. I was just not reading a whole lot in the beginning of the month, but I did finish the audiobook of The One. It's the last of the original trilogy of the Selection series. Love that series. I finished it on my drive back to college. I love the characters. I did get a little confused just a little bit with certain characters because there was constantly a lot of girl names, obviously. So I was just trying to connect after not listening to the audiobooks of the previous two for like a month or two. It was a little hard to remember which girl was which and whose personalities is what and who Maxon is having different types of relationships with. So I did enjoy the book. I do want to continue the next two in the Selection universe. It's following another character. I finished the original trilogy between America and Maxon. I'm happy with the nostalgic feeling that I got from the entire Selection series because it reminded me of some of the books I read when I was younger. And even the Hunger Games, I got very, very reminiscent vibes of that entire time frame while I was growing up. So after that, I was still dealing with a reading slump, but the next book I got into was The Ballad of Never After. Oh my god, that got me out of my reading slump so fast. Like, I read that within a week, left on a massive cliffhanger. I don't know why that cliffhanger happened, but it got me into the next book like that. I love that book, and it's my favorite out of the entire trilogy. I love the entire world Stephanie Garber has going with Once a Broken Heart and the Caraval series. She's got something going on with this world. It's absolutely phenomenal. I hope she makes another series based on some of the characters in this world just to continue to grow off this world. I love everything about it. I ate up the Caraval series and I ate up this series. I think I like the Once Upon a Broken Heart series more because the Caraval series, she jumped from Scarlett's point of view in the first one to Donatella's, and don't come for me, I'm not a huge fan of Donatella. I definitely prefer Scarlett and her personality. Donatella just kind of pissed me off. This series, The Ballad of Never After, was my absolute favorite of the entire trilogy of Once Upon a Broken Heart. I don't know what Stephanie Garber puts in her books, especially in this world, but oh my god, it is phenomenal. But with the cliffhanger that The Ballad of Never After had, I jumped straight into The Curse of True Love. That was my next book I automatically jumped into because that cliffhanger that we were left on was ridiculous. I was so mad with that cliffhanger and what happened. I was so mad. It took me through my emotions, but The Curse for True Love was absolutely phenomenal as well. One of the characters got what he deserved, I'll just say that, but I loved the entire trilogy. I will recommend this entire world to anybody who's interested into entering fantasy. It's a good entry point into a fantasy world. It's just so good. So those were the next two books that I read. After that, I got into Love Arranged. I loved Love Arranged. It was just a wholesome contemporary romance, and it was just so good. There was a lot of tension between the characters and a lot of back and forth between them. I loved being back in the world that Lauren Asher creates, and just it's phenomenal. The covers that were made for the Lakefront Billionaire series, I love every single one of them. They're so great. Whoever came up with the design and the color scheme, phenomenal. I love the entire series. I will recommend this series to anybody and everybody. It's so good, so good. I love Lauren Asher's writing. Besides her Christmas story, I believe I've read every single one of Lauren Asher's books. She's an automatic buy. She never misses. Everything she writes hits. It's like Elsie Silver. So those two are definitely my automatic buys whenever new books of theirs come out, and I eat every single one of them up. After Love Arranged, I got into Caught Up. I was not expecting everything that happened in that book, and the storylines and some of the stuff they were involved in, I was not expecting it. I did enjoy my time reading the book. Just, I was a little stunned, and I was not prepared for what was coming my way reading this book. So, I was a little shocked. So you gotta go in knowing that it is a dark romance. I don't want to go into it too far, but I do have a reading blog on both Love Arranged and Caught Up, so you can hear my thoughts, and they do have spoilers in them. Both my reading blogs of these two books do have spoilers in them. So just a fair warning, if you want to watch and get my entire thought process on both of these books, go watch the reading blogs that I created. I did enjoy my entire time reading Caught Up. I did not have a point where I hated any moment of it. I loved every single moment of it. but I was just not expecting what I was about to stumble into, because Caught Up is very different from the first book in the series, which is Lights Out. So I just was not prepared. This month I had a lot of hits. Like, every single book I read in August was absolutely phenomenal. Definitely was a good month of reading to get me out of my reading slump, because all I'm doing now is just constantly wanting to read. That is how I've gotten through so many books. I have a tracker on Fable where I track if I've read every single day, and I've beat my new record, which is like 21, now I'm at 22 days in a row. So I'm happy to say I think I'm out of my reading slump. That is the end of this video. Drop some recs for books you want me to read. I'll continue posting reading vlogs whenever I finish a book, so you can get my full opinions on everything. I just wanted to do a quick little wrap up to show you what I've read. Go ahead, check out my other videos if you're interested. So thanks for watching.